about to hear is a brief segment of an interview in which Stephen Munatones of Open Water Source interviews Ned Denison. In the world of open water swimming, Ned Denison is a mountain and a mover in the sport. In this interview, Ned shares his insights on the sport of open water swimming and personal experiences from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic Ocean and many places in between. Ned Denison is Swim Ireland's National Open Water Committee Chairman and a nominee for the 2010 World Open Water Swimming Man of the Year. Open Water Source is pleased to present Ned Denison.
Good morning or good evening, I'm not quite sure. We're here with Ned Denison. He's in Cork, Ireland. And Ned, how are you this morning or evening? I'm not quite sure.
Well, Steve, it's a lovely noon in Cork, Ireland. We've got a dusting of frost or snow on the ground, but we're not hit as bad as the rest of the Anglo-Celtic archipelago.
Got it. Most of us look at the snow on the ground. You actually probably look over at the sea and wonder what the water temperature is. What would it be today?
Water temperature is between 9 and 11 degrees, depending on where you are. However, we have a number of our swimmers practicing for the Cold Water Championship, so they found the coldest lake they can find, which is about 5.
Oh, did you join them?
I'm not joining them. I think if the competition was in Finland or the Czech Republic and we were swimming in a lake with a hole cut through the ice, I might, but it's at Lido in South London. It's not the most romantic location in the world for me, so I'll give it a miss this year.
Got it. For those viewers who don't know you, Ned, can you give us a little background on your career in all the aquatic sports that you've done throughout your illustrious career?
I'm not sure it's so illustrious, but I'm 53 years old. I was born in South Burlington, Vermont, and spent my summer swimming there and at a cabin in Maine. And our adventures were swimming across the lake, which was about a mile and back. Didn't really have much of a swimming career. Did a little bit of competitive swimming at age 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I was good for third place in breaststroke and butterfly when no one else could do it, and stopped competitive swimming at about age 12. I took up water polo when I went to university at 17. I was a reasonably good goalkeeper. Played at Columbia University for a number of years, and then moved to the Berkeley area and played under the late great coach Pete Catino in the summer leagues at Berkeley. I was a 7-time All-American water polo goalie. Moved to Britain for work and played there with a team called Polytechnic. We won what's called the treble, and I competed in the European Championships a couple of times. Our team wasn't particularly good at that standard, and let water polo drift for a few years. From Britain, I moved to Ireland, then to Australia, or was it the Netherlands, and then to Australia, back to the UK, I think, and then on to California in the mid-90s, and ended up playing Masters water polo for Tri-Valleys out in Pleasanton, California. And it was there that I started open water swimming in about 2000. There's an old rock quarry there called Shadow Cliffs. And for, I think, $20 a year, you could get a green hat that said SOWAT on it. And you could swim anytime you wanted as long as you had a partner. So I would swim in the mornings there. Did my first couple of Alcatrazes in 2000, 2001. And when I moved to Cork, Ireland, I had my choices of hurling, which is kind of like lacrosse, Gaelic football, which is like a sport that most Americans wouldn't understand, road bowling, forget about that, running around in the rain, or open water swimming. So I started open water swimming here in Anger, and our group based around Sandycove Island in Kinsale, County Cork, has grown from strength to strength. In 2004, I was the first of the locals to declare an interest in the channel, English Channel, and in 2005, we had 3 solo swimmers and 12 relayers, and it's really gone crazy since then. I think it's probably an accurate statement to say since 2005, we've had more channel solo swimmers coming out of Sandycove Island than all locations in the world, bar Dover, and they're in the Serpentine in London. So we've really had a great run of success here.
That's an amazing. I have hundreds of questions based on that introduction. The first one is, in that rock quarry in California, it was actually a rule that you needed to swim with a partner?
Yeah, it was a rule. You weren't to swim alone. So I had a group of 4 or 5 people on internet, and messages would be exchanged at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You know, who fancies a swim at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock in the morning? The course, as a triangulate course, is 1.7 miles. And depending on who I swam with, I either huffed and puffed to keep up or did what I call the zigzags in big circles. If somebody was half your speed, you swam giant loops around them or big zigzags across their pattern. So in that 1.7 mile loop, you might get 3 miles in.
Wow, wow. Because the issue of safety is the foremost on every responsible swimmer, have you ever heard of it? I've never actually heard of another place where a swim buddy was required. Have you?
We in our program here in Sandycove Island, required's a big word, Steve, but everything we send out, every message we give is swim safe, swim in groups, and we come down pretty hard on people that swim alone. I won't say they're shunned, but we're pretty welcoming, forgiving group. But if people consistently swim alone, we tend to really frown on it. It's just it's terrible practice.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much. And then, can you explain Sandycove Island for those of us who have never been there?
So Cork, Ireland is in the on the south coast of Ireland. It's a relatively small place. About 200,000 people in a 50, 60 mile radius. It's the second largest city in the Republic of Ireland. And down on the coast is a beautiful tourist village called Kinsale. Kind of like a Sausalito for people that know that, but a little bit more quaint than that. And off the coast there's a small island. And from the slipway around the island and back again is about 1,800 meters. It is absolutely a gorgeous place. There's a small herd of feral white goats that live on the island. There's about 20 of them. There are no inhabitants on the island. And on a gorgeous summer day, we can have 100 people out there. On a miserable Saturday afternoon in the winter, there might be 6. And in the summer, we have groups of people doing multiple laps who are training for big swims. Weather-wise, it is just to the east of what's called the Old Head of Kinsale Peninsula, which means we're protected from the predominant western winds. But around the island is fascinating. Visibility is normally pretty good. You can see the fish, the crabs, the rocks, the plants. And we can enjoy about a 4-degree temperature difference around the island. It normally starts out a bit cold, warms up. The first corner of the island is usually freezing. Around the far side, you have the force of the ocean. It's usually a little bit warmer. There's a warm patch on the second corner. Between the second and third is nice. And then usually inside the island is warmest, except as you get back to the slipway and it drops down again. So when our swimmers go off to the English Channel or other locations and they hit a cold patch, they just got to laugh and say, well, it's not 4 degrees at Sandycove Island.